Hi everybody, it's Ryan from Ryviews.com, and today I'm doing RyCast number 7. We have family games, with the Wii spelled like Nintendo Wii, because humor. Anyway, I'm going to talk a bit about what Nintendo did when they made the Wii and continued that trend with the Wii U, and I'm going to discuss kind of my thoughts on the subject. I had a lot of thoughts about this several years ago, of course, before the Wii U came out, because it was kind of a drastic change for Nintendo where they went in a completely different direction than their competitors. Way back in the day with the early Nintendo consoles, it was pretty neck and neck with Sega, vying for console dominance and graphic dominance, and trying to sell the most games. And Nintendo always had by far the best intellectual property. They had Mario, they had Donkey Kong, they had all sorts of stuff. And I was a longtime Nintendo fan because of that. But part of the problem that they ran into once Microsoft and Sony came into the market was that Nintendo could not keep up with their hardware specs. For whatever reason, Nintendo just could not do it. Okay, that they're almost a generation behind usually. So what happened was Nintendo went in a direction that was completely different. When they created the Wii, they innovated tremendously in the kind of motion capture and motion controlled scheme. And they released a console that could not stay on the shelves. I mean, it sold out like crazy. And one reason that it did really well and sold so many copies was because it was very kid-friendly. Sony and Microsoft were both going more in a direction of a gamer side because you had this big trend of extra graphics, extra gore, extra everything, and they were attracting the heavy gamers. Nintendo went in the opposite direction and they attracted families. And the Wii did really well for a long time until, in my opinion, the rise of mobile gaming. So, while motion controls were interesting and exciting and new, soon Sony and Microsoft caught on and they introduced their own, which, while not as good, were still something along the same line. And Nintendo, basically after that, only had a clinch on the market for family games and casual gamers. That's why so many Wiis were sold, is because they were getting people who never bought consoles before. But with the rise of mobile gaming, if you have cell phones that have games that are as good as a Super Nintendo or N64 game were, you have casual gamers suddenly saying, oh, I don't need to buy this Nintendo console because it's $300. I'm going to buy a phone that's probably more expensive, but it also has a phone. And then I'll play my games on there like Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja. And I feel like they really hurt Nintendo's image because, or not their image, their platform and their strategy, because they suddenly lost all these casual gamers to different devices. And so when the Wii U released, because they didn't have any good first-party games at launch, at least not enough of them, it didn't do well at all. It tanked horribly. And it's because that market that they're going for, which is the family market, is now suddenly bought up in all the cell phone gaming and handheld gaming. That's one reason why the 3DS is doing so well. So I think it's a fantastic idea that with the Wii U you have that little handheld device that you can actually probably play most games on if you just look at that screen. Certainly you can play the entire Wii, virtual console on it, just watching that. You could have the TV turned off and you could basically play it on the handheld device, which is a fantastic idea, but it's just not as good as it could have been because it got screwed over by all this mobile gaming and casual gaming elsewhere. And I think that's kind of bad for Nintendo, because I love Nintendo. I love Mario, I love Zelda, I love Donkey Kong, I love lots of their properties, but it's hard for me to justify buying Nintendo consoles if it's just for those few games. And so far, I've enjoyed it. I think it's worth my money. I love Mario Kart. I love Super Smash Brothers. And I'm going to love the next Zelda game. I loved Hyrule Warriors. I mean, there's lots of quality content. But, it's sad to think about how much better Nintendo would be right now if either they had been able to corner the casual game market without the increase of cell phones, or if they'd be able to attract more heavy gamers. And I just don't know how that's possible. I think there are ways they could do it. They could make a nitty-gritty Metroid game. They could not covet. What's the word I'm looking for? Court. That's the word. They could court a lot of the third-party studios to bring more content over immediately, but it's just tough because it doesn't have the same hardware specs. So it's a lot extra work for third-party developers. Anyway, those are my 2 cents on that, or possibly my 5 cents. Talk for a little while. So let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your opinions on Nintendo and casual gaming. Thanks for listening, everybody. Visit www.ryviews.com for more content, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.